Wildfire Awareness Week for 2014, starting here in Redding this morning. So before I get started, I got some folks I'd like to introduce. I'll start with the folks that will not be speaking today, and we'll start with Jeremy Strait from the BLM, Dave Muir, Field Representative for Senator Gaines, Bruce Ross, the District Director for Assemblyman Dolly, and Stu Farber of the Board of Forestry. And with that, I want to just give a snapshot of where we are right now locally as far as fire preparedness and the fire season as we get going. So right now, Redding, the Redding area in general, is about 54% of normal rainfall from what we would normally have. This is following another year of drought. Last year we had less rain than normal, and again this year. We have significant concerns this year in the area about the 3,500 to 6,000 foot elevation level with the brush. It did not get covered with snow. We had basically a hard freeze, and with it not being covered, we have a high percentage of frost kill with the brush, and that could lead to some significant fire behavior this summer as we move forward. As far as the Shasta Trinity Unit and Shasta County Fire Department, we'll be ready this year with our 19 engines, 3 dozers, 12 hand crews, our 2 tankers, our 1 air attack, and then on the Shasta County Fire Department side, we will have our 18 volunteer fire companies. They're all ready for fire season, finishing their preparedness up this week. One big thing we would like to pass along to the community is to do their part with their defensible space. They need to clear around their house to make it safe, and this does 2 things for them. It makes their neighborhood safer if you get all the neighbors to go in and do that 100-foot clearance. And the second part is, with the firefighters you see on both sides of me here, it makes it safer for them when they go in to help save your house. Any work you've done ahead of time makes it easier and safer for them, and that's very important to all of us at the end of the day, that they come home. With that, while we encourage you to mow and weed eat around your house, we would like you to do that before 10 a.m., just so we don't have any other fire starts along the way. And we do remind you right now that below 1,000 feet in Shasta County, there is no burning. Above 1,000 feet, there are now burn permits required. And with that, all your firefighters here locally, they are ready for the fire season and to be there for the community. So with that, it is my privilege to introduce the Director of CAL FIRE, Ken Pimlott.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. Thank you, Chief Eberhard. It's certainly, again, an honor to be back in Redding, kicking off Wildfire Awareness Week statewide in California. But as we kick off Wildfire Awareness Week, also want to recognize what's also going on today is we are statewide recognizing all of the fallen peace officers in California. And so our thoughts are certainly with our law enforcement partners and their families statewide. As we speak, the governor is attending a ceremony in Sacramento at the statewide Peace Officers Memorial. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about drought in California. We've seen a lot of coverage statewide this year as we have been entering our 3rd year of well below normal precipitation and snowpack in the state. We started off, the end of last year started off this year with what we thought was going to be a wet season with rainfall and snow, and then literally the spigot just shut off. And that was pretty clear early in January, as we started seeing one red flag warning after another. It was pretty clear to those of us in the fire service, all the partners behind me, as every weekend we're holding fire personnel on duty. Staffing patterns to put resources in place almost like clockwork every weekend and throughout the week in January. We knew we were up for a different challenge maybe than we would normally see in the winter months. All kicked off by a 350-acre fire in Humboldt County, just to the west of here. Humboldt County obviously being one of the wetter places in the country to support a 350-acre fire in January. This was going to be a year where vegetation conditions were extremely dry, and we have the potential, again, to have a very significant and damaging fire season. Even the rains that we received later this winter and early spring maybe took the edge off of conditions in the short term, but did nothing to change the long-term conditions that we're in of extremely dry vegetation. Governor Brown, along with the partners and their governing bodies you see behind me, were very aggressive in looking at and addressing these concerns. We were able to put in place, from the Cal Fire perspective and the state's perspective, a very early augmentation of resources. We've hired firefighters much earlier than normal in Northern California, as early as late January in many areas here in the North State. Firefighters in Southern California were never laid off. We've been in a year-round fire season condition in Southern California. Air attack bases, literally, again, almost unprecedented. Chico Air Attack Base, just to the south of here, was open and flying aircraft in January and February, along with air attack bases to the south. We've been staffing fire engines strategically around the state and continue to ramp up. You'll hear more about that from other presenters, but we have resources well in place much earlier than ever in the state, probably in some cases 2 to 3 months early. This is all for a good reason. We're seeing fire conditions and fire activity that is unprecedented. To date, we have had and responded to over 1,244 fires since the beginning of January. That's 645 more fires than we would have responded to this time of year on average. So we're already seeing activity that is unprecedented. Last week in Southern California, the Etiwanda Fire burned almost 2,200 acres under Santa Ana wind conditions, and we're talking winds between 60 and 80 miles an hour in April. These are winds we would normally see in the fall. We were seeing them in April. And again, you'll hear more about that fire, I'm sure, and other fires that have been occurring statewide. But all of this is telling us the conditions that we're dealing with statewide. With that, again, the governor was very proactive in providing the support that we needed to meet this threat. Declared drought emergency again in late January, gave us all the tools we need to begin staffing up and match the threat. Cal Fire and our partners that you see behind me, we can't do it alone. We're prepared. We're all bringing resources to bear. We always say we're going to bring the offense, but now it's time for the public to bring the defense. You have a very clear and specific responsibility to do work around your homes and prepare so that the firefighters that get there have a fighting chance. With that, you can simply go to the website Ready for Wildfire. It gives you all of the things that you as a homeowner or a property owner need to prepare yourself should a fire occur, and do all these things ahead of a fire. We preach ready, set, go, and you'll see this on that website. It's very simple. The ready is prepare your property. I think you've already heard from Chief Hebrard, but the bottom line is defensible space, clear that vegetation, address marking so firefighters can find your home. But do these things, particularly the weed eating and the clearing of vegetation, on cool mornings, not on a hot, sunny afternoon where the low humidity will support starting a fire. So in addition to ready, there's the set, and that's simply prepare a disaster plan. Prepare that disaster plan not just for a wildland fire, but for any kind of disaster. California, we know, is prone to floods, earthquakes, high wind events, in addition to wildfire. So have that plan in place right now. Go home, think about it today, how you're going to, what items you're going to save, what's your evacuation route, all of those things, your notifications. Do those right now before the fire occurs. And then lastly, it's the go. And that means just that, go. Don't wait till the fire is impinging on your home. Be prepared to evacuate your home early. Firefighters need to be able to get into your neighborhood or out to your property without running into a lot of traffic that's evacuating. And so take heed, pay attention to the media, listen to warnings, reverse 911, all of those aspects. Leave immediately so that firefighters can come in and help protect your home. 95% of all fires are caused by people. That means that 95% of fires can be prevented. It's up to the public, it's up to all of you as residents of California to take that responsibly so that we can mitigate the number of fires that are occurring here in California. Wildfire Awareness Week is an important opportunity for California's communities to reduce the occurrence of wildfire by increasing public safety and awareness through education. So again, pay close attention. We'll be statewide this week getting this message out, but it's up to all of you. With that, I'd like to introduce California, or Cal Fire's Northern Region Chief, Chief Larkin. Chief Keith Larkin has taken the helm of the Northern Region today. I'm very proud to introduce him not only as Cal Fire's Northern Region Chief, but as a fire professional with many years of experience in the fire service here in California. With that, Chief Larkin.
Thank you, Chief Pimlott. Wildfire Awareness Week is very important to everyone here in California, the residents as well as the firefighting personnel that are out there preparing for this upcoming fire season or fire activity. We're preparing to defend your homes and to get out there and to take care of the wildfire activity within the state. You need to, as citizens of the state, continue to prepare your homes and prepare for the wildfire activity as well. That's a key component to Wildfire Awareness Week, is making everyone aware of the wildfire activity that's going on in the state. As Chief Pimlott said, drought conditions this year are unprecedented. We're in a situation now where we're constantly dealing with the lack of moisture, the lack of water supplies, and that's going to impact our ability to control fires and to do our job out there on the line. But we're going to do our very best, as we've always done, and we'll continue to prepare and deal with the situations as they come forward. The augmentations have been important to us to get additional resources on the ground and to work in preparing these resources to do a job in these conditions, and we're preparing very well right now to do that. And in fact, really on a daily basis, we're monitoring the conditions to make sure we're ready for the next event or to prepare for the upcoming season. So we look forward to doing a good job for you and preparing ourselves for the upcoming season, and we're ready to help you and do our job as we move forward. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Leonard Motti. He is the supervisor for District 2 here in Shasta County.
Thank you, Keith. It's an important week, Wildland Awareness Week, and we had a very credible reminder here in Shasta County last year, and that was the Clover Fire occurred in my district. It's a fire that started in September of last year. One individual lost his life. There was over 8,000 acres burned, and we had hundreds of homes that either were burned or threatened during the fire. In fact, one of our volunteer fire chiefs, while he was out fighting the fire, lost his house. The response from CAL FIRE was tremendous. We had over 1,500 firefighters coming into our area to help put this fire out. It cost over $7 million to do that. So I want to just reiterate and emphasize what Chief Heber already said, as well as Chief Pimlott, that what we do to prepare ourselves for these fires in advance is what's going to make the difference in the end. So I encourage everybody to get out there and to clear their properties and follow the instructions that were given earlier about protecting and preparing your home. And finally, I'd like to just say a special thank you to CAL FIRE and all of its staff and all of our local fire agencies that came out last year to help put that fire out and continue to stand by to protect us every year as we move forward. Thank you. It's my pleasure to introduce Chief Shana Lagarza.
Good morning, and thank you for having me here for the Wildfire Awareness Week. This week in California, we'll be traveling across the state to spread the importance message of fire prevention in California this year. So the United States Forest Service is continuing to be fully staffed since even last year. Remember, fire season 2013 started in April of last year, April and June in Southern California, and it didn't end. It went through the entire state, and we were busy. And we came into the fall and we had a slight break, and then fire season picked up again in Northern California, and then on the LP right before Christmas, then more fires on the Andros, and then just last week the Etiwanda Fire on the San Bernardino. So the troops have been busy, fully staffed throughout the entire year, and then we put in the 3-year drought that we have in the field moistures, and there's a real concern that it could be a very busy fire season. So there's 3 things that the Region 5 Forest Service leadership provides for thought as we move into this fire season. One, we have to continue to be very engaged leadership, and that's not just the federal agencies and the partners behind me, but it's you, the public, also. Being engaged and looking at your house, making sure you have defendable space, Go to the Ready, Set, Go program like Chief Pimlott mentioned. Go to the One Less Spark, One Less Wildfire website and read about that. Make sure that you have the most information possible for you and your neighbors so that you're prepared. So we need the engaged leadership of not just all the firefighters from every agency, but from the public too. The second thing we think about is just the alignment of communication, or the message that we have as we move into a busy fire season, so that we're having current, accurate information that is spread from the boots on the ground all the way up to the governor's office and then back east. So really focus on having the right message. I think that's really important. And then the last thing we talk a lot about is making sure that you're taking care of yourself. All the firefighters for all these agencies have been busy throughout the entire last year and through the winter and into now, to what's could be a busy fire season. So make sure that you take care of yourself, get the rest that you need to have. Thank your family for allowing them to let you do what you do, and please have a safe season. And it's my proud honor to introduce Mary Rickards, Board of Forestry Fire Protection member. Thanks.
Thank you. First of all, I want to apologize for being a little late. I'm the last house in Shasta County, and I swear I got behind every slow driver and construction site on my way down here today. Typical Monday morning. Thank you for joining us today for the 2014 Wildfire Awareness Week here in Shasta County. Given the severe drought conditions, it's good to know how proactive CAL FIRE is, and they've been preparing and very actively anticipating what could be a very serious fire season. I've been a member of the Department of Forestry and Fire Protection for over a year now, and I represent the livestock range segment of position on that board. During my tenure on the board, I've been impressed with the dedication and commitment of my fellow board members. I have Stu Farber here today, also from Shasta County. I often refer to him as the Einstein of forestry. He's very knowledgeable. They're a group of extremely knowledgeable professionals, and they're very committed to the various issues that our board faces. For example, some of the current agenda items we're covering include incidents of sudden oak death right here in our neighboring Trinity County. We have oak woodland restoration projects, vegetation treatment projects, and we're also, Stu and I are working on a working forest management plan. All of us here today are committed to the protection and the preservation of our timber and our rangelands. If our agencies, local governments, and private citizens continue to work together in a collaborative manner, we can all achieve these goals. So thank you very much. And Dan Thomashefsky, California Forestry Association, will speak next. How did I do?
Nice job. You did great. That's perfect. Good morning. I'm Dan Thomashefsky, Vice President of Sierra Pacific, and I'm representing the Forestry Association today. We're pleased to be here, and it is an important event and an important awareness that we need to raise around the county and really through the state. We're focused. The forest landowners like ourselves are focused on looking at our ability to manage these fires in a more proactive way, and we have, for instance, with Sierra Pacific, the acreage burned every year has risen to almost 3 times what it was just 5-7 years ago in terms of an annual acreage burned. And we're looking at putting together a series of fuel breaks and fuel management zones across the landscape of the lands that we own. Those would allow the agencies, both Forest Service and CAL FIRE, to have a better chance of defending these fires, keeping them smaller. We're giving priority to establishing these structures in areas that are in proximity to communities like the Shingletown area. And because we have a memorandum of understanding put together with CAL FIRE in 2011 between the Forestry Association and CAL FIRE, we're able to formalize that kind of work to where we can work with CAL FIRE and Forest Service to decide where to put these fuel management zones. And then also, besides establishing them, of course, it's just as important is to maintain them. And CAL FIRE has the ability with this memorandum to commit resources to help maintain those. So we're really working hard to try to protect these communities at risk in the rural areas. And when you think about damages that wildfires cause, there's the damages to homes and property and structures. And now there's more awareness of the carbon emissions and the impact that can have on the environment. But also people should always remember that there are also severe impacts to water quality and wildlife. And we join with CAL FIRE and the Forest Service as land management. Their agencies, we're private, but we all manage lands. We manage the same resources. And we're really, I think, partners with a very similar mission in managing all those resources and trying to mitigate the impacts that fire can have on those. So we're really partners today. We're partners all through the year. We're partners on individual fires. We provide maps and information and local knowledge that are useful to firefighting agencies. We're really beefing up our ability to predict weather, fire weather conditions, when conditions are such that we shouldn't be out there operating. So as we continue to grow this partnership and build the relationships with people that are here, and that's a really important thing, is if you build the relationships in this kind of context, then when you get out there on the ground and you have a fire and you see faces that you know and you have some confidence in, everything goes much better and everything's much more efficient in terms of fire suppression. So we're glad to participate today, and we just hope that maybe we're all wrong this year and not much happens, but thank you. I'd like to introduce Chief Kim Zagaris, Office of Emergency Services from the Governor's Office. Thanks.
Good morning. Well, it's going to be an interesting season by a lot of standards. I think I'll start off with emphasizing from Chief Pimlott already that we here have all been working very diligently on the Governor's Drought Task Force, the Governor's Drought Emergency. And we do it together at the local, state, federal level. We do it with the citizens, and we also do it with our private partners in business as well, as you've already heard. We really need to emphasize of working together. One of the more important things that I do for our agencies, we manage the California Fire and Rescue Mutual Aid System with our local, state, and federal partners. And it is a great system. It brings together all the fire agencies in the state, about 1,000 agencies working together during initial attack and for surge capacity to provide additional resources to protect people's lives and property. Also the environment at times as well. While we have a great system, the system is only as good as the people we work for. And again, I'll emphasize that the citizens really need to do their part and being ready, being set, and go when the time's ready. As Chief Pimlott's already indicated, Wildfire Awareness Week is really where we start this off, but it really should have started last year because we haven't gotten out of last season. We're moving forward. So with that, everyone have a safe summer, and as the public, please help us help you. And I'll turn it back over to Chief Ebart.
All right, so as you can see, numerous agencies here today, everybody's standing together ready to help the communities here. And again, just to reinforce, we ask that you go out into your defensible space and help us help you and make it a good, safe summer for all of us. So with that, we'll conclude today, but leave it with some questions if you have any. With that, we will conclude this morning. Thank you very much for everyone attending.